In the year 2022, the NBA introduced a new award, giving an MVP not only to the winner of the NBA Finals, but also to a winner of the conference finals MVP. In the 2 years the award's been a thing, the winners in the West have been Steph Curry and Nikola Jokic, and the winners in the East have been Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler. Today we're going to be looking at past years in NBA history to see if the award had always been a thing, and whose players' legacies it would affect, and new talking points to bring up, because now you would have much easier time not only discussing a player performance in the finals, but also the conference finals, and we're going to be highlighting some special runs that are often forgotten about or not talked about as much in NBA history. Today we're going to be looking at the decade of the 2000s. Also, unlike my series of looking at the NBA had MVP for each conference, this one will be solely based on my own opinion, looking at how the series went and the stats. My only rule is that it has to be from someone who won the series, as that only makes sense. And it's basically how the finals MVP has worked since '69. Alright, let's begin. In the year 2000, the West Finals was between the LA Lakers and the Portland Trail Blazers. The Lakers were the number 1 seed and the Blazers were the number 3 seed. In Game 1 in LA, the Lakers had a starting lineup of Ron Harper, Kobe Bryant, AC Green, Glenn Rice, and Shaquille O'Neal, and Shaq was clearly their best player this game, as in a 109-94 comfortable win for the Lakers. Shaq dropped 41 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 blocks on 14 for 25 shooting, playing 47 minutes to lead the Lakers to take a 1-0 lead, as Kobe Bryant only dropped 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists, and their second leading scorer was Glenn Rice at 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists on 5 for 8 shooting. The Blazers this game had a starting lineup of Damon Stoudemire, Steve Smith, Scottie Pippen, Rasheed Wallace, and Arvydas Sabonis, with Pippen being their best player, dropping 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists on 7 for 17 shooting, but it was not enough as the Lakers take a 1-0 lead with Shaq as player of the game. Game 2 was the completely opposite story, however, as the Blazers were able to blow out the Lakers in their own arena, winning by 29 points, 106-77. As the Blazers had 3 players drop over 20 points, with Rasheed Wallace dropping 29 points, Scottie Pippen with 21, and Steve Smith with 24. And in my opinion, Rasheed Wallace was the player of the game, as he dropped 29 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals on 8 for 18 shooting, as he was their leading scorer and their leading rebounder, having 1 assist shy of their leading assist man, shooting very efficiently from 3, going 3 for 3 from 3, and 10 for 11 from the free throw line. And for the Lakers, the Blazers were able to hold Shaq to just 23 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists on 9 for 16 shooting, and he shot an absolutely terrible 5 for 17 from the free throw line, and they were able to hold Kobe to 12 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals on 2 for 9 shooting. Overall, Game 2, the Blazers tied the series 1-1, and the player of the game is Rasheed Wallace. Game 3 in Portland, the Lakers take a very narrow 2-point victory, 93-91, as the duo of Shaq and Kobe shows out, as Shaq dropped 26 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks on 10 for 17 shooting, and Kobe dropped 25 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals on 11 for 18 shooting, with Shaq playing 48 minutes and Kobe playing 47, as they were able to hold the Blazers to not have a single player with over 20 points. Overall, looking at Shaq versus Kobe this game, I have to go with Kobe because he dropped just 1 less point while having 4 more assists and somehow shooting a better field goal percentage as a guard than the paint scoring center in Shaq. So overall, in Game 3, the Lakers take a 2-1 lead and Kobe is the player of the game. In Game 4 in Portland, the Lakers took a 12-point win, 103-91, to take a demanding 3-1 lead. Shaq this game put up 25 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks on 8 for 17 shooting, while also somehow managing to go 9 for 9 from the free throw line. Kobe this game dropped 18 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks, really showing up on the defensive end. He did not show up nearly as much on the offensive end, as he only shot 5 for 15, as Kobe played 46 minutes and Shaq played 45 minutes. For once, also, the Lakers actually had players other than Kobe and Shaq really show up this game, as Ron Harper dropped 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists on 6 for 12 shooting, and Glenn Rice dropped 21 points, 7 rebounds on 7 for 11 shooting. Overall, though, I still think Shaq was the Lakers' best player this game, as he was their leading scorer and rebounder and was able to keep his efficiency good for his normal standards, especially from the free throw line, while everyone else on the team either did not score efficiently or really did nothing else but score. For the Blazers, Rasheed Wallace had a great game, dropping 34 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists on 11 for 25 shooting, but it was not enough, as in Game 4, the Lakers take a 3-1 lead, and Shaq is a player of the game for the second time in the series. In Game 5 in Portland, the Blazers got an 8-point win, 96-88, to make the series 3-2. And in this game, Rasheed Wallace and Scottie Pippen both dropped 22 points. But Rasheed Wallace dropped 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists, though he shot a very inefficient 7 for 21, while Scottie Pippen dropped 22 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 steals, and 4 blocks on 8 for 12 shooting, as he was, in my opinion, by far the best player in this game, as he tied the Blazers as the leading scorer, while also leading them in field goal percentage, while also being by far their best defender, dropping a combined 10 steals and blocks. While for the Lakers, Shaq did have a monster game of his own, dropping 31 points, 21 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks on 12 for 20 shooting. Kobe Bryant was still really struggling with his shooting, dropping just 17 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks on just 4 for 13 shooting. As Glenn Rice and Robert Horry also had big struggles, as Rice dropped just 4 points on 1 for 8 shooting, and Horry dropped 7 points on 3 for 11 shooting. Overall, in Game 5, the Blazers make the series 3-2, and the player of the game is Scottie Pippen. Game 6 in LA, the Blazers take a 10-point win, 103-93, to force a Game 7 after being down 3-1. Scottie Pippen, after being the player of the game, only scores 9 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists and 2 blocks on 1 for 6 shooting while playing 47 minutes. But the Blazers are still able to get it done, off the performances of 2 surprise 20-pointers, with Steve Smith dropping 26 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals on 10 for 18 shooting, and Bonsai Wells off the bench dropping 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists on 8 for 13 shooting. Overall, I would say Steve Smith was the Blazers' best player of this game, as he was their leading scorer, while also scoring very efficient and being good on defense when players such as Scottie Pippen had a bit of a drought this game, but still able to lead them to a win to force a Game 7. For the Lakers, Kobe Bryant got out of his shooting slump as he had a fantastic game, scoring 33 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, and 3 blocks, showing up on both defense and offense on 12 for 24 shooting as he hit 6 threes. He also played all 48 minutes this game. Shaq this game had a bit of a slump as he scored just 17 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists on 7 for 17 shooting just 3 for 10 from the free throw line, as he also played all 48 minutes. Overall, in Game 6, the Blazers force a Game 7, and Steve Smith is the player of the game. In Game 7 in LA, the Lakers came back to win by 5 points, 89-84, to make the NBA Finals. In this game, many people say during this time that this was Shaq's team and Kobe was getting carried, but without Kobe, the Lakers would definitely have not made the Finals this year, as in the biggest game of the season, Kobe showed up as he dropped 25 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 blocks on 9 for 19 shooting, as Shaq dropped 18 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists on 5 for 9 shooting. As in the biggest game of the season, Kobe had more points, rebounds, assists, and blocks than Shaq while having less turnovers, as Kobe was their best player in the most important game of the season. As for the Blazers, Rasheed Wallace had a good game, dropping 30 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist on 13 for 26 shooting before getting ejected, and Scottie Pippen kinda sold in this Game 7. He dropped 12 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals, but on just 3 for 10 shooting. Overall, in Game 7, the Lakers win and and Kobe Bryant is the player of the game. Overall in the series, Kobe and Shaq both got 2 player of the games. So looking at their individual stats in the series, Shaq averaged 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists per game to go along with 2 blocks on 54% shooting, while Kobe averaged 20 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks on 44% shooting. Overall, Shaq averaged 6 more points, while Kobe averaged 2 more assists, and was somehow able to average more blocks while obviously averaging a lot more steals. And though he shot less efficiently from the field, because he was so efficient from three-point range and Shaq was so terrible from the free throw line, Kobe actually had a very slightly higher true shooting percentage. So with better defensive numbers and a higher true shooting percentage, despite the fact he's a guard compared to Shaq, a paint scoring center, in this series, especially because he was the best player in the most important game, I am going to give the 2000 West Finals MVP to Kobe Bryant, which really dispels the myth that he was carried by Shaq, as in their first year winning the championship, they're already splitting the Finals and West Finals MVP between each other. For the Blazers side, their best player was Rasheed Wallace, who averaged 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists per game on 50% shooting. So in the year 2000, the West Finals MVP is Kobe Bryant. In the year 2001, the West Finals was between the number 1 seed San Antonio Spurs and the number 2 seed LA Lakers, with the lower seeded Lakers being able to sweep the Spurs to make their second straight finals. In Game 1 in San Antonio, the Lakers cruised to a comfortable 14-point victory, 104-90, to take a 1-0 lead, and the best player in this game was very clear, as Kobe Bryant dropped 45 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists on 19 for 35 shooting at 23 years old. Shaq had a good game of his own, dropping 28 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks on 11 for 22 shooting. While putting up really good defensive stats, he scored 17 less points on less field goal percentage while only having 1 more rebound than the 6'6 guard compared to the 7'1 center. So the Lakers' best player was very clear this game, as Kobe Bryant was clearly the player of the game. Tim Duncan had a good game for the Spurs, dropping 28 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 blocks on 10 for 19 shooting. But what really hurt him is that he had 7 turnovers this game, managing to put up a 5-by-5 in turnovers. So in Game 1, Kobe Bryant is the player of the game, and the Lakers take a 1-0 lead. In Game 2 in San Antonio, the Lakers win a low-scoring affair by 7 points, 88-81, taking a 2-0 lead, taking both of the Spurs' home games. Kobe this game was once again their leading scorer, as he dropped 28 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals on 11 for 24 shooting, as Shaq dropped 19 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists, while somehow managing to shoot 8 for 21. Kobe this game scored 9 more points, had 2 more assists, had the same amount of blocks, 2 more steals, and shot a better field goal percentage than the center Shaq. It's once again pretty obvious who the Lakers' best player of this game was, as Kobe for the second straight game is the player of the game. If we're not have to be someone from the winning team, though, then it could be very much argued it was Tim Duncan, as despite the loss, he went absolutely insane this game, dropping 40 points, 15 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 blocks on 15 for 26 shooting, even managing to make a 3 and go 9 for 9 from the free throw line, 2 very non-Tim Duncan-like things. But once again, his turnovers did kill him, as he had 6. So in Game 2, Kobe Bryant is once again the player of the game, and the Lakers take a 2-0 lead. In Game 3 in LA, the Lakers won an absolute slaughter by 39 points, 111-72, to take a 3-0 lead. The Spurs were just not able to get anything done this night, especially their best player, Tim Duncan, as he scored just 9 points on 3 for 14 shooting, though he was able to pitch in 13 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, and 4 blocks. He was just not able to get anything done on the scoring end. David Robinson was the Spurs' leading scorer at 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 blocks on 10 for 18 shooting, but he was really all they had. They only had 2 players in double-digit scoring. scoring, and their other double-digit scorer, Antonio Daniels, only shot 36% from the field. For the Lakers, this was really the Kobe and Shaq show, as they both absolutely showed up in peak Kobe and Shaq form. For the third straight game, Kobe was their leading scorer, dropping 36 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists on 14 for 27 shooting, as Shaq put up 35 points, 17 rebounds, and 3 assists on 16 for 23 shooting. This is a really close one between Kobe and Shaq. Kobe scored 1 more point and had 5 more assists, and managed to get less turnovers than Shaq, despite once again being a guard compared to Shaq being a center. Though Shaq did get 8 more rebounds and shot a better field goal percentage, I feel like the other things really made up for that. So overall, I would give Kobe his third straight player of the game this series. I would also like to point out the opposites of the player of the game this game, with Horace Grant scoring a fat 2 points on 0 for 5 shooting, and Robert Horry, big shot bomb himself, scoring 2 points on 1 for 10 shooting. Yikes. So in Game 3, the Lakers take a demanding 3-0 lead, and Kobe Bryant wins his third straight player of the game. In Game 4 in LA, the Lakers once again absolutely blew out the Spurs by 29 points, 111 to 82 to complete the sweep and go to their second straight finals. The Spurs were absolutely shut down this game, as no Spurs scored over 20 points. And they shot just 40% as a team, 19% from 3, and 68% from the free throw line. As Shaq and Kobe were both really good, but an unexpected player shows up this game, as Derek Fisher had the game of his life, dropping 28 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists on 11 for 13 shooting, hitting 6 threes. He was their leading scorer, while scoring by far the best field goal percentage and 3-point percentage while hitting by far the most threes. He could not miss this night. Kobe had a great game of his own, dropping 24 points, 2 rebounds, 11 assists, and 2 steals on 10 for 19 shooting, doing amazing playmaking. And Shaq had 26 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 blocks on 11 for 19 shooting. Now, my real debate here is between Derek Fisher and Kobe. Kobe did have 4 less points while scoring less efficiency, but he did have 6 more assists, which is quite a bit more assists. And he was also a way better defender. So overall, I think I am still going to pick Kobe if I'm looking at it objectively, but I do want to give it to Derek Fisher just because of how much of an outlier and insane game this was. So either way you spin it, Kobe's already going to win the Conference Finals MVP, so I'll give this one to D-Fish, as Derek Fisher as the player of the game in Game 4, as the Lakers complete the sweep. Overall, Kobe wins his second straight West Finals MVP, as he had an absolutely insane series, averaging 33 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals per game on 51% shooting, being player of the game in 3 out of the 4 games. Really disproving that Kobe was carried by Shaq, and showing that they were way more of a duo, as this is the second straight year where Kobe gets the West Finals MVP and Shaq gets the Finals MVP. Shaq had an amazing series of his own, averaging 27 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists on 54% shooting, and Derek Fisher was an amazing third option this series, as he averaged 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists on 61% shooting and 75% from 3 on 5 3-pointers attempts per game. He shot 16 for 20 from 3 in the series. Absolutely insane. For the Spurs side, no one really stuck out that much, their best player being Tim Duncan, who averaged 23 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks per game on 48% shooting, as overall Kobe gets his second straight West Finals MVP. In the year 2002, the West Finals was between the number 1 seed Sacramento Kings and the number 3 seed LA Lakers, with the Lakers controversially winning in Game 7 to reach their third straight NBA Finals. In Game 1 in Sacramento, the Lakers won by 7 points, 106-99, as their leading scorer was Kobe Bryant, as he dropped 30 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks on 12 for 26 shooting, as Shaq dropped 26 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, and 4 blocks on 11 for 21 shooting. Robert Horry also had a good game, dropping 18 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals on 6 for 12 shooting. Overall, Kobe had 4 more points and 5 more assists, while Shaq had 2 more blocks and a slightly better field goal percentage, as well as 3 more rebounds. Overall, I feel like Kobe's both point and assist advantage outweighs Shaq's slight defensive and field goal percentage advantage. His rebounding advantage is not really all that much compared to the positions that the players play. So overall, I would have Kobe Bryant as the player of the game in Game 1. The best player for the Kings was Chris Webber, who dropped 28 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists on 14 for 25 shooting. So in Game 1, the Lakers take a 1-0 lead, and Kobe Bryant is the player of the game. Game 2 in Sacramento, the Kings tied the series 1-1 in a 6-point win, 96-90. As Shaq definitely did not go down without a fight this game, as he dropped 35 points, 12 rebounds, and 1 assist on 15 for 27 shooting. And Robert Horry this game randomly went and grabbed 20 rebounds, which is kind of weird. You don't really think of Robert Horry as a guy who would go out there and grab 20 rebounds, but he did this game. Kobe Bryant had a pretty mid-game, dropping just 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists on 9 for 21 shooting. For the Kings, their leading scorer was Chris Webber, who dropped 21 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 5 blocks on 9 for 22 shooting, being their leading scorer, 1 rebound away from their leading rebounder, getting quite a bit of assists, and leading their team in the combined defensive stats by a lot. As overall, it's pretty clear that Chris Webber was the player of the game in Game 2 as the Kings tied the series 1-1. In Game 3 in LA, the Kings take a 13-point win, 103-90, as they take a 2-1 series lead. The leading scorer was once again Chris Webber, as he dropped 26 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals on 12 for 21 shooting, as he was their leading scorer, their second leading rebounder, their leading assister, putting up good defensive stats, and leading their team in field goal percentage, while playing 45 minutes of the game, as the Kings actually, most of this series, were only playing 7 players, and their 7th player was only playing like 6 minutes. So their players were playing pretty much the entire game, which is an interesting strategy considering how far they went. But yeah, Chris Webber gets his second straight player of the game, as Shaq this game dropped 20 points, 19 rebounds, and 4 assists on 9 for 20 shooting. And Kobe had 22 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks on an awful but ironic 8 for 24 shooting as he got shut down. Overall, in Game 3, Chris Webber gets his second straight player of the game, and the Kings take a 2-1 lead. In Game 4 in LA, the Lakers were on the verge of going down 3-1 to prevent their three-peat run, but instead, Robert Horry hit this insane game winner to tie the series 2-2 to give them a 1-point win, 100-99. The Kings' leading scorer of this game was, ironically, the man Kobe Bryant was traded for on draft night, Vlade Divac. He had 23 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals on 7 for 11 shooting. For the Lakers, Shaq dropped 27 points, 18 rebounds, and 3 assists and 3 blocks on 9 for 22 shooting. Kobe had 25 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks on 12 for 26 shooting, and Robert Horry dropped 18 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists on 5 for 7 shooting, including the game winner. Now, while Horry did have the game winner, I don't think his overall stats match up to those of Kobe and Shaq. While Kobe did score more efficiently than Shaq, I don't think that makes up for the fact that Shaq had a 14 rebound advantage, really dominating the boards, as only one player on the Kings had double-digit rebounds, compared to Shaq and Robert Horry, grabbing a combined 32 rebounds between the two of them. But overall, I think I would give Shaq the player of the game, as the Lakers tie the series 2-2. In Game 5 in LA, the Kings were able to get a 1-point win, 92-91, to take a 3-2 lead. Kobe Bryant was really chucking up shots more in this game, as he scored 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists on 11 for 29 shooting, while Shaq had a very efficient game, scoring 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks on 14 for 18 shooting, and somehow, despite being, Shaq, only shot 1 free throw all game, though he did foul out of this game and Kobe had 5 fouls. Derek Fisher also kind of sold this game, scoring only 8 points on 2 for 10 shooting. For the Kings, their leading scorer was Chris Webber at 29 points, having 13 rebounds and 3 assists on 12 for 23 shooting, leading the team in scoring, rebounding, second in field goal percentage, tied for most assists. It's pretty clear that Chris Webber was once again the player of the game for the third straight win for the Kings as they take a 3-2 lead. Game 6 in Sacramento is possibly the most controversial single NBA game of all time, as the Lakers got a controversial 4-point win, 106-102, to force a Game 7. I have a whole video discussing this game on my original channel, so go check that out if you want more details about this game. It's probably the worst officiated game of all time, but other than that, Chris Webber this game dropped 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists on 12 for 22, playing an absolutely fantastic game, though some of the Kings players did score very inefficiently this game, absolutely selling. And it wasn't entirely for the refs, as Doug Christie shot 2 for 6, Mike Bibby 7 for 20, Vlade Divac 5 for 16 and fouling out, Hedo Turkoglu scoring 3 for 9. For the Lakers, Shaq absolutely dominated, scoring 41 points, 17 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 blocks on 14 for 25 shooting, and even managing to go 13 for 17 from the free throw line, though he did somehow manage to rack up 6 turnovers this game. And Kobe Bryant scored 31 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists on 10 for 20 shooting. Now this one's actually pretty close. Shaq scored 10 more points and had 6 more rebounds, but to be fair, that rebound advantage isn't all that much compared to the position changes. And he had more blocks and scored more efficiently, though his 6 turnovers compared to Kobe's just 1 really does hurt him this game, and Kobe did have 4 more assists, though I'm still going to give the player of this game to Shaq. So overall, in the controversial Game 6, Shaq gets his second player of the game of the series, and the Lakers force a Game 7. And in Game 7 in Sacramento, the Lakers pulled off a 6-point win in overtime, 112-106, to head to their third straight finals. The minutes in this game were absolutely insane. Kobe and Shaq both playing over 50 minutes. Kobe playing 53 minutes and Shaq playing 50 minutes. Robert Horry playing 49 minutes and Rick Fox playing 48. Absolutely insane. Rick Fox this game had actually a pretty dang good role player Game 7 performance, dropping 13 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists on 5 for 12 shooting, though Robert Horry really was inefficient this game, scoring 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists on just 6 for 17 shooting. But Kobe and Shaq were once again the really big man players as you would expect. Shaq being their leading scorer, once again scoring 35 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, and 4 blocks on 12 for 25 shooting, and even managing to once again shoot 11 for 15 from the free throw line. He actually really was really good from the free throw line compared to his normal standards this series. Kobe this game dropped 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists and 2 steals, but shot just 10 for 26. So his less efficiency compared to having less points, less rebounds, so he did have 5 more assists. Shaq also did have better defensive numbers. I would have Shaq as the player of the game once again in Game 7. For the Kings, Doug Christie really sold this Game 7, scoring just 4 points on 2 for 11, and Peja Stojakovic off the bench, scoring 8 points on 3 for 12. Overall, Shaquille O'Neal wins the 2002 West Finals MVP, as this would be the only year when he would win both the Finals MVP and the West Finals MVP, as he was player of the game for 3 games, Kobe for 1, and Chris Webber for 3 for the Kings. Shaq this series averaged 30 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks per game on 53% shooting, while Kobe averaged 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists on 42% shooting. Robert Horry also had a really good series, averaging 11 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals per game on 45% shooting. For the Kings, Chris Webber was by far their best player, averaging 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists per game on 51% shooting, in a performance that many people think should have been enough to take them to the finals if it was played fair and square. And Mike Bibby also averaged 23 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals on 45% shooting. The 2003 West Finals was between the number 1 seed San Antonio Spurs and the number 3 seed Dallas Mavericks, with the Spurs winning in 6 games. This was the Battle of Texas, as in Game 1 in San Antonio, the Mavs pull off a 3-point win, 113 to 110, as this was not only the Battle of Texas, it was also the battle of the great power forwards of Dirk Nowitzki versus Tim Duncan, as both had absolutely insane games. Dirk Nowitzki led the Mavs to the win, dropping 38 points, 15 rebounds, and 2 assists on 10 for 19 shooting, including going 17 for 17 from the free throw line, which is super impressive. But Tim Duncan's performance was also on the same level, as he dropped 40 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists on 14 for 20 shooting, but it was not enough as the Mavs pulled out the win, and Dirk Nowitzki is the player of the game. Game 2 in San Antonio, the Spurs win 119 to 106 to tie the series 1-1 going into Dallas. The Mavs' leading scorer of this game was Michael Finley, who scored 29 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals on 10 for 20 shooting while hitting 4 threes. Dirk Nowitzki was held by Duncan to below his usual efficiency, as he scored 23 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals on 8 for 19 shooting, while Steve Nash also shot 4 for 11, and Nick Van Exel came off the bench to shoot 5 for 16. For the Spurs, Tim Duncan was by far their best player, scoring 32 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks on 11 for 21 shooting, leading the team in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. He wins the player of the game. Game 3 in Dallas, the Spurs win by 13 points, 96 to 83, to take a 2-1 lead. Tim Duncan in 2003 is one of the greatest basketball players of all time, as this game he dropped 34 points, 24 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 6 blocks on 12 for 19 shooting. The only thing going against him is that he did have 7 turnovers, dropping a 5-by-5 with turnovers, but does it really matter when you lead your team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, and field goal percentage? No, it really doesn't. I think Tim Duncan is very obviously the player of the game for the second straight game. The Mavs were absolutely shut down this game. Their leading scorer was Nick Van Exel off the bench, dropping 16 points on 6 for 15 shooting, as Dirk was held to just 15 points on 7 for 20 shooting. Game 4 in Dallas, the Spurs win by 7 points, 102 to 95, to take a commanding 3-1 lead. Tim Duncan is not human. He dropped 21 points, 20 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 blocks on 8 for 14 shooting. He did get some help this time. Tony Parker was their leading scorer, dropping 25 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists on 9 for 22 shooting. A rookie Manu Ginobili dropped 21 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals off the bench on 8 for 12 shooting. But Tim Duncan is still very obviously the player of the game for the third Spurs win, as the Mavs really stood no chance at this point, as Dirk Nowitzki had gotten injured and he did not play this game. Game 5 in San Antonio, the Mavs were able to pull out a miraculous 12-point win, 103 to 91, without Dirk Nowitzki, to keep the series alive 3-2. Michael Finley was the hero of this game, as he dropped 31 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 steals, and 2 blocks on 9 for 14 shooting. Tim Duncan was his normal Tim Duncan self, however, dropping 23 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists on 9 for 15 shooting. Michael Finley is the player of the game. Game 6 in Dallas, the Spurs win by 12 points, 90 to 78, to win the series in 6 games and go to their second NBA Finals and the first of the decade. Steven Jackson was actually the Spurs' leading scorer this game, dropping 24 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals on 8 for 14 shooting, as Duncan had 18 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks on 8 for 20 shooting. Overall, Jackson had more points, though he had a lot less rebounds and 1 less assist. He had more steals and scored a better field goal percentage, and he went insane from 3, hitting 5 threes. So I would give Steven Jackson the player of the game in this closeout. Steve Nash, this game was held to 3 of 10 shooting, which is really below his normal standards. He's one of the most efficient scorers in NBA history, as once again Dirk was not playing. Overall, Tim Duncan wins the West Finals MVP as he was player of the game for 3 games, Steven Jackson for 1, Dirk Nowitzki for 1, and Michael Finley for 1. As Duncan this series averaged 28 points, 17 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 blocks on 57% shooting, as he would then go on to win the Finals MVP, having one of the greatest seasons of all time. The 2004 West Finals was between the number 1 seed Minnesota Timberwolves and the number 2 seed LA Lakers, with the Lakers winning in 6 games to go to their 4th finals in 5 seasons. Game 1 in Minnesota, the Lakers win by 9 points, 97-88. This was the Lakers' intended super team with Kobe, Shaq, Gary Payton, and Karl Malone, as Shaq was the one dominating this game, and he scored 27 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 blocks on 9 for 16 shooting. Making this one a bit more quick and precise, he was pretty obviously the Lakers' best player in this game, as he led the Lakers in points, rebounds, second in assists, blocks, and had a good field goal percentage, and even managed to go 9 for 11 from the free throw line. Once again, as he always says, he hit them when they count. For the Wolves, Kevin Garnett scored 16 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks on 7 for 15 shooting. But the leading scorer was actually Latrell Sprewell, the choke man himself, who dropped 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists on 8 for 16 shooting. Overall, in Game 1, Shaquille O'Neal is the player of the game, and the Lakers took a 1-0 lead. Game 2 in Minnesota is a completely different story, as the Wolves were able to pull out a blowout win 89-71 in a low-scoring affair. The Lakers were absolutely shut down. Kobe Bryant scored 27 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals, but shot just 10 for 24. Shaq was held to just 14 points on 4 for 10 shooting, Gary Payton to 8 points on 3 for 10 shooting, and Karl Malone to 5 points on 2 for 5 shooting. Kevin Garnett this game dropped 24 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals on 10 for 20 shooting, leading his team in points, rebounds, and steals while scoring efficiently, being by far the best defender on the team. I think he was pretty obviously the player of the game in this surprise victory. I also like to point out that 2 of the Wolves starters played less than 7 minutes, including their starting point guard, all-star point guard, Sam Cassell, playing only 43 seconds, and they were able to blow out the super team Big Four Lakers in this game. Really impressive. Game 3 in LA, the Lakers win by 11 points, 100-89, as they take a 2-1 lead. Kevin Garnett this game dropped 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists on 9 for 21 shooting, though he did foul out. Shaq this game absolutely dominated, scoring 22 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks on 7 for 10 shooting, but the only knack against him is that he shot an awful 8 for 22 from the free throw line, but he led the team in points, rebounds, and blocks and field goal percentage. It was pretty dang dominant this game, especially with Kevin Garnett in the paint. Having to score all that is super impressive. So overall, I would give Shaq his second player of the game, of the series. Game 4 in LA, the Lakers win by 7 points, 92-85, to take a 3-1 lead. Kevin Garnett this game dropped 28 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 assists on 12 for 24 shooting, but was put down by his teammate Latrell Sprewell, absolutely selling, dropping just 12 points on 4 for 18 shooting. Kobe this game dropped 31 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, though he shot a pretty inefficient 10 for 24. As Shaq this game dropped 19 points, 19 rebounds, 1 assist, and 3 blocks on 6 for 10 shooting. Though I'm really against people who score really inefficiently a lot, I do think Kobe should probably be the player of this game because he scored by far the most points and was able to hold down Latrell Sprewell to basically just shooting the Wolves out of this game. And so I will give Kobe Bryant the player of the game for the third Lakers win. Game 5 in Minnesota, the Wolves pull out a narrow 2-point win, 98-96, to keep the series alive 3-2. No one on the Lakers really did that bad this game. It was more of a case of 2 players on the Wolves showing out, with Kevin Garnett dropping 30 points, 19 rebounds, and 4 assists on 10 for 23 shooting, as Latrell Sprewell making up for his last game, dropping 28 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, and 2 steals on 11 for 21 shooting. Kevin Garnett leading the team in scoring, rebounding, second in assist, while being by far the best defender. He is once again the player of the game. As by the way, I want to point out the Wolves won made this a 6-game series against the Lakers with Kobe, Shaq, Gary Payton, and Karl Malone, while the Wolves had a Michael Olowokandi in their starting lineup. The Candyman himself was in their starting lineup, and they made the Western Conference Finals and forced the Lakers to 6 games. Insane. Game 6 in LA, the Lakers win by 6 points, 96-90, to win the series in 6 games. Kevin Garnett had 22 points, 17 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks, but it was not enough. 9 for 20 shooting. The two things that really killed him is that 1, he fouled out, and 2, he had 8 turnovers. 14 pricely mistakes there, as Latrell Sprewell dropped 27 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists on 8 for 22 shooting. For the Lakers, Kobe, despite the win, had a really inefficient game, scoring 20 points on 6 for 17 shooting, as Shaq dropped 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 1 assist on 9 for 15 shooting, as Karl Malone also had a really well-rounded game, having a near triple-double with 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists on 4 for 9 shooting. But Kareem Rush came off the bench to absolutely save the day, dropping 18 points on 6 for 8 shooting, with all 6 of those shots being threes, having an absolutely goated role player performance there. But overall, Shaq is the player of the game for the 3rd game in the series. Overall, Shaquille O'Neal wins his 2nd West Finals MVP, as in the 4 finals appearances that Kobe and Shaq made together, they each split 2, as Shaq this series averaged 21 points, 16 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks on 57% shooting, as he was player of the game in 3 games, Kobe in 1, and Kevin Garnett in 2. Kobe this series averaged 24 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals on 41% shooting. For the Wolves, Kevin Garnett averaged 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists on 46% shooting, and Latrell Sprewell averaged 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, and 2 steals on 41% shooting. The 2005 West Finals was between the number 1 seed Phoenix Suns and the number 2 seed San Antonio Spurs, with the Spurs winning in 5 games. Game 1 in Phoenix, the Spurs were able to win by 7 points, 121-114. And Tony Parker was their leading scorer, dropping 29 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals on 13 for 22 shooting, while Tim Duncan dropped 28 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 assists on 10 for 21 shooting. Now, while Tony Parker was able to outscore and shoot more efficiently than Duncan, I think Duncan's rebounding advantage and him somehow getting more assists than the point guard and having a significant defensive gap gives him the best player of this game, though I would also like to point out that Brent Berry came off the bench to drop 21 points and 3 steals on 8 for 12 shooting while hitting 5 threes, having an absolutely goated role player performance. While for the Suns, Amari Stoudemire was able to drop 41 points on Tim Duncan's head, as well as 9 rebounds and 1 assist on 13 for 21 shooting, while Steve Nash dropped 29 points, 4 rebounds, and 13 assists on 12 for 22 shooting. So ironically, the people that were being guarded by Parker and Duncan were also able to get theirs, but the Spurs were able to still get out the win, as Tim Duncan is the player of the game in Game 1. Game 2 in Phoenix, the Spurs were able to pull out a 3-point win, 111-108, as this time Tim Duncan was the leading scorer, dropping 30 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals on 10 for 19 shooting, as the whole Big Three did their part, as Manu Ginobili dropped 26 points on 10 for 18 shooting, and Tony Parker dropped 24 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists on 12 for 20 shooting. Overall, though, Tim Duncan was the leading scorer, rebounder, and best defender, while scoring pretty efficiently, though less efficiency than both Parker and Ginobili. But overall, I would still give him the player of the game. But the Suns, despite going down 2-0, their best players were not playing badly at all, as after dropping 41 points, Amari Stoudemire went for 37 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists on 14 for 23 shooting, and Steve Nash dropped 29 points, 5 rebounds, and 15 assists on 13 for 22 shooting, as Nash and Amari, despite going against being defended by the Spurs' best 2 players, Duncan and Parker, were absolutely having amazing series, but it was the team play of the Spurs that were able to overcome them, as in Game 2, Tim Duncan is the player of the game, and the Spurs go up 2-0. Game 3 in San Antonio, the Spurs take a 10-point win, 102-92, to take a 3-0 lead. For the third straight game, Amari Stoudemire has an amazing scoring performance despite the loss, as he dropped 34 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 blocks on 15 for 30 shooting while playing 46 minutes. As Nash this game did have a bit of a low game though, dropping 20 points, 2 rebounds, and only 3 assists and 6 turnovers on 8 for 18 shooting, as he did finally get shut down this game, as Sean Marion actually also got shut down, dropping only 6 points on 3 for 9 shooting. For the Spurs, Tim Duncan did absolutely carry this one, as he dropped 33 points, 15 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks on 9 for 17 shooting, and also managing to go 15 for 15 from the free throw line. Very impressive feat for him, as pretty much everyone else had a pretty mediocre game compared to him, so Tim Duncan gets his third straight player of the game as the Spurs go up 3-0. Game 4 in San Antonio, the Suns get a 5-point win, 111-106, to make the series 3-1. This game, Amari Stoudemire dropped 31 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 steals on 13 for 23 shooting, as Nash dropped 17 points, 4 rebounds, 12 assists, and 2 steals on 6 for 10 shooting. As I really think Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire are kind of like the light version of Karl Malone and John Stockton, but honestly, I think Steve Nash is a better player than John Stockton, and I think if Amari Stoudemire could have stayed healthy, they could have been at a level a duo on that level. But as you can see in this series, they both had amazing stats. They just didn't have the right team around them, and of course, Amari Stoudemire had a lot of injury issues, and it just never worked out. Joe Johnson also had a good game, dropping 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on a very efficient 10 for 15 shooting. For the Spurs, Manu Ginobili carried this one on 28 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists on 11 for 22 shooting, as Tim Duncan was held to just 15 points, 16 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks on 6 for 12 shooting, and Parker was held to just 13 points on 5 for 17 shooting, as Stoudemire and Nash dominated not only on the offensive end, but also on the defensive end, which is very impressive, especially for Nash, as he is not known for that. Because I would give Nash the player of the game, as he had by far the most assists on the team. He really controls the team's offense, and he was able to score just as efficiently as Stoudemire and Johnson, just with a bit less volume on the scoring, but much more volume on the playmaking. So in Game 4, Steve Nash gets the player of the game. Game 5 in Phoenix, the Spurs get a 6-point win, 101-95, to close out the series in 5 games. Tim Duncan drops 31 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks on 14 for 24 shooting to send the Spurs to the finals, as he's obviously the player of the game in this one, leading the Spurs in points, rebounds, blocks, and field goal percentage, playing the most minutes, and yeah, pretty much doing everything for the Spurs. He obviously gets the player of the game here for his 4th time in the series, as though despite the loss, Amari Stoudemire had a fantastic series and did everything he could in this closeout game, dropping 42 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists, and 4 blocks on 16 for 32 shooting, as Nash dropped 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 10 assists on 9 for 20 shooting, as Joe Johnson, which is very surprising what he had this game, because he's normally a very clutch player, kind of choked in his final game, dropping just 14 points on 6 for 17 shooting. So overall, the Spurs win in 5 games, and Tim Duncan is the player of the game. So overall, Tim Duncan wins the 2005 West Finals MVP, his 2nd West Finals MVP of the decade, as he gets all 4 player of the games for the Spurs, as the other one for the Suns goes to Steve Nash, as Duncan in this series averaged 27 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks on 53% shooting, as the whole Spurs Big 3 did amazing, as they all averaged over 20, with Manu Ginobili averaging 22 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals on 49% shooting, and Tony Parker averaging 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists on 46% shooting. But for the Suns, Amari Stoudemire had potentially the most underrated series of all time. I mean, I never hear people talk about this. Amari Stoudemire, in the conference finals against Tim Duncan, averaged 37 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 blocks on 55% shooting, as Steve Nash also had an amazing series, averaging 23 points, 4 rebounds, 11 assists on 52% shooting. While the Suns duo both had absolutely phenomenal numbers, the rest of their team was not able to catch up, and the Spurs were able to go to the finals as Tim Duncan wins the West Finals MVP. The 2006 West Finals was between the number 2 seed Phoenix Suns and the number 4 seed Dallas Mavericks, with the Mavericks winning in 6 games. Game 1 in Dallas, the Suns narrow out a 3-point win, 121-118, as the Suns' leading scorer of this game was actually the Frenchman himself, Boris Dia, as he dropped 34 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists on 13 for 23 shooting, as Steve Nash dropped 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 16 assists on 11 for 18 shooting, generating an insane amount of offense, as Sean Marion also had a great game, especially on the defensive end, as he got 24 points, 13 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks on an incredibly efficient 10 for 15 shooting, as Amari Stoudemire was injured this series, though these 3 did absolutely amazing. It's pretty hard to decipher who was the player of the game, but overall, I think I am still going Steve Nash. He was the team's second leading scorer and absolutely carried them in playmaking. I mean, he had 14 more assists than anyone in the starting lineup. 3 players in the starting lineup had 0 assists, while also scoring very efficiently. I think I'm going to have to give Steve Nash the player of the game here. Dirk Nowitzki had a near 20-20 game, dropping 25 points and 19 rebounds on 8 for 18 shooting, but our leading scorer was actually Devin Harris, dropping 30 points and 5 steals on 12 for 17 shooting, being the Mavs' best offensive player this game, but Steve Nash is able to take the Suns to the win, being the player of the game. Game 2 in Dallas, the Mavs win by 7 points, 105-98, to tie the series 1-1. Boris Dia is once again the Suns' leading scorer, dropping 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists on 10 for 17 shooting, having a great series, as Nash had 16 points, 2 rebounds, and 11 assists on 6 for 10 shooting, as Sean Marion dropped 19 points, 19 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals on 9 for 20 shooting. But Dirk Nowitzki was able to lead the Mavs to the win, dropping 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists on 12 for 21 shooting. Josh Howard also had a great game, having 29 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks on 10 for 19 shooting, as Dirk Nowitzki led the Mavericks in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and field goal percentage, as he is obviously the player of the game. Game 3 in Phoenix, the Mavs take another 7-point win, 95-88, to take a 2-1 series lead, as Dirk once again dominates, dropping 28 points, 17 rebounds, which is actually a pretty underrated rebounder in his prime than what people give him credit for, 5 assists and 2 blocks on 10 for 23 shooting, as Josh Howard also put up another 20-point performance, dropping 22 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals on 9 for 22 shooting. As for the Suns, Boris Dia is finally not the Suns' leading scorer, but he is damn close, as Steve Nash was the leading scorer, dropping 21 points, but Boris Dia himself dropped 20 points. As Sean Marion, once again, is absolutely dominating the boards this series, dropping 10 points and 18 rebounds, though he did only shoot 4 for 12 this game while playing 47 minutes. But Dirk Nowitzki led the Mavs in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks, and so he's pretty obviously the player of the game for his second straight game. Game 4 in Phoenix, the Suns blow out the Mavs by 20 points, 106-86, to tie the series 2-2, as Dirk Nowitzki gets absolutely shut down to just 11 points on 3 for 13 shooting, as none of the Suns players really shone out in the offensive end, but they really were able to shut down Dirk this game. Steve Nash dropped 21 points and 7 assists on 8 for 13 shooting, as Leonardo Barbosa had 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists on 10 for 13 shooting off the bench, including hitting 4 threes. No one really shown out that much compared to normal, so I think I'm going to give the player of the game to Steve Nash, mainly because of his playmaking ability, even though Leonardo Barbosa was having an insane role-player GOAT game. The playmaking of Nash and having an efficient 8 for 13 shooting, I think gives him the player of the game for the second time in the series. Game 5 in Dallas, the Mavs win by 16 points, 117-101, to take a 3-2 series lead. Nash was held to an inefficient scoring this game, as he did score 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 11 assists, but he shot just 5 for 17. As Tim Thomas, though, came out of nowhere to give the Mavs some trouble, with 26 points on 9 for 14 shooting, and hit 6 threes while playing 41 minutes. Sean Marion also had a good game, dropping 20 points and 10 rebounds on 9 for 13 shooting, but they were not nearly enough to stop Dirk Nowitzki from having a game of a lifetime as he dropped 50 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists on 14 for 26 shooting and hit 5 threes, including shooting 17 of 18 from the free throw line, as he is very obviously the player of the game for the third time in the series, giving the Mavs a 3-2 lead. Game 6 in Phoenix, the Mavs win by 9 points, 102-93, to close out the series in 6 games to make their first finals appearance in franchise history. Dirk Nowitzki actually showed up and you're not really expecting him to show up in, which is the defensive end of the ball, as he dropped 24 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks on 8 for 15 shooting, while Josh Howard also randomly dominated the boards this game, dropping 20 points, 15 rebounds, 1 assist, and 3 steals on 7 for 16 shooting. Now, Howard did manage to somehow get way more rebounds, but Dirk had more assists and was somehow way more dominant on the defensive side of the ball compared to normal. And even though Josh Howard is a bit more efficient, I think I'm still giving the player of the game to Dirk for the 4th game in the series. As for the Suns, Boris Diaw, having an amazing series, did not go down without a fight. He dropped 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists on an incredibly efficient 11 for 16 shooting, as Steve Nash had 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists on 7 for 13 shooting. Overall, Dirk Nowitzki wins the West Finals MVP in 2006 as he averaged 28 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 assists per game on 46% from the field, 50% from 3, and 89% from the line. Insane shooting splits. As for the Suns, throughout the entire series, Boris Diaw was their leading scorer, averaging 24 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks on 52% shooting. As for Nash, he averaged 21 points, 3 rebounds, and 10 assists on a dumbly efficient 52% from the field, 44% from 3, and 96% from the free throw line. The 2007 Western Conference Finals was between the number 3 seed San Antonio Spurs and the number 4 seed Utah Jazz, with the Spurs winning in 5 games, making their 3rd finals appearance of the decade. Game 1 in San Antonio, the Spurs win by 8 points, 108-100, to take a 1-0 lead. Deron Williams did have an insane game, dropping 34 points, 7 rebounds, and 9 assists on 13 for 23 shooting, but it was not enough as Tim Duncan had 27 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks on 9 for 15 shooting. Manu Ginobili did come off the bench to have 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 10 assists on 9 for 14 shooting, but Duncan, overall, his dominance on both ends of the ball, I think gives him the player of the game, even if Ginobili probably was better on offense, being more efficient and having 5 more assists. Duncan's two-way dominance, I think, gives him the player of the game for Game 1. Game 2 in San Antonio, the Spurs win by 9 points, 105-96, to take a 2-0 lead. This time, Carlos Boozer leads the Jazz in scoring, having 33 points, 15 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals on 14 for 23 shooting, as Deron Williams had 26 points and 10 assists on 10 for 19 shooting. It did have some guys really sell them out though, as Mehmet Okur shot just 4 for 13, and Derek Fisher shot just 1 for 9, which is pretty unusual for him because he's normally a really good playoff performer and a 5-time champion. But Tim Duncan this game had 26 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 5 blocks. Absolutely dominated defensively, shooting 10 for 15. As Tony Parker also had an insane game, having 17 points, 3 rebounds, 14 assists, and 2 steals on 7 for 12 shooting. While Duncan dominated the defensive end, Parker dominated the playmaking by a lot, having 10 more assists than anyone on the team. But because Duncan scored more points on better efficiency while being the far better defender, I will give Tim Duncan the player of the game for the 2nd straight game. Game 3 in Utah, the Jazz randomly, after going down 2-0 against a team that was pretty obviously far better than them, blow out the Spurs by 26 points, 109-83, to make the series 2-1. No one on the Spurs really played all that bad or all that good, but Deron Williams and Carlos Boozer randomly played out and played like they were John Stockton and Karl Malone, as Deron Williams dropped 31 points, 1 rebounds, and 8 assists and 5 steals on 10 for 19 shooting, including hitting 4 threes, and Carlos Boozer dropped 27 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals on 12 for 19 shooting, as Deron Williams led the Jazz in points, assists, and steals and overall defensive numbers, as overall Deron Williams is the player of the game in this really random blowout. Game 4 in Utah, the Spurs win a low-scoring game by 12 points, 91-79. Once again, this was a really well-rounded effort for the Spurs, except for Tony Parker, as the Spurs were able to win despite him shooting just 6 for 19 from the field. Tim Duncan had 19 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, and 5 blocks on 6 for 13 shooting, as Manu Ginobili dropped 22 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and 3 steals on 4 for 10 shooting off the bench, as Tim Duncan scored just 3 less points on better efficiency while being the better defender, so I would give Tim Duncan the player of the game for the 3rd time in the series. As for the Jazz, Deron Williams once again played really well, as many people forget just how good he was in his prime, as he was getting Chris Paul comparisons. It was a legitimate debate about who was better at the time, as he dropped 27 points and 10 assists on 11 for 21 shooting. And in Game 5 in San Antonio, the Spurs blew out the Jazz by 25 points, 109-84, to go to the NBA Finals and win the series in 5 games. The Jazz were absolutely shut down this game. Not one player on their team scored above 13 points. Their leading scorer was Andrei Kirilenko, who scored 13 points on 4 for 11 shooting. Meanwhile, Tim Duncan and Tony Parker both showed out for the Spurs, both dropping 21 points. Duncan dropping 7 rebounds and 3 assists, and Parker dropping 5 rebounds and 5 assists. Duncan shooting 7 for 14 from the field, and Parker shooting 7 for 13, as both just had to play just 27 and 28 minutes respectively. Now, while Parker did score slightly more efficiently and had 2 more assists, Duncan's presence on the defensive end was really felt this game, so I would give him the player of the game for the 4th time in the series. Overall, Tim Duncan gets player of the game for all 4 of the Spurs wins, getting his 3rd West Finals MVP of the decade, as he averaged 22 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks per game on 58% shooting, as Tony Parker was able to average 20 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals on 48% shooting. As for the Jazz, Deron Williams averaged 26 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals on 53% shooting, and Carlos Boozer averaged 21 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists on 53% shooting, as those two really carried the Jazz, as not one other player on their team averaged over 10 points per game, while the Spurs had 5 players averaging over 10. In the year 2008, the Western Finals between the number 1 seed LA Lakers and the number 3 seed San Antonio Spurs, with the Lakers winning in 5 games. This was an epic battle between the 2 best teams of the decade, as Game 1 in LA, the Lakers won in a low-scoring effort by 4 points, 89-85. Tim Duncan absolutely played his heart out this game, as he dropped 30 points, 18 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 4 blocks on 12 for 25 shooting, doing absolutely everything for the Spurs, as Manu Ginobili shot just 3 for 13 from the field, as Kobe Bryant led the Lakers, scoring 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists on 11 for 21 shooting, as Pau Gasol was dominating on defense, dropping 19 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks on 9 for 16 shooting. The Lakers were able to win this game despite Lamar Odom going 3 for 12 and Derek Fisher going 1 for 9. Ultimately, though, Kobe led the Lakers in points and assists while scoring efficiently and, of course, being an amazing defender, so overall, I would give Kobe Bryant the player of the game. Game 2 in LA, the Lakers surprisingly blew out the Spurs by 30 points, 101-71, to take a 2-0 lead. The Spurs were absolutely shut down in this game, as they shot just 35% from the field, 26% from 3, and 50% from the line as a team. They had no player score above 13 points, as the leading scorer was Tony Parker, who scored just 13 points on 6 for 15 shooting. While for the Lakers, Kobe Bryant had 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists on 10 for 17 shooting, while Lamar Odom, after having an inefficient Game 1, had an amazing Game 2, dropping 20 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, and 4 blocks on 7 for 10 shooting. Overall, it's pretty close between Kobe and Lamar this game. Kobe had 2 more points, but Lamar was able to score more efficiently and had more blocks. Overall, I think the 4 blocks here really sways me toward Odom's favor, and he scored super efficiently. So overall, I would give the player of the game in Game 2 to Lamar Odom. Game 3 in San Antonio, the Spurs pull a reverse card. After getting blown out by 30 points, they now blow out the Lakers by 19 points, 103-84, to make the series 2-1. Kobe Bryant, despite the loss, had a good game, dropping 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist and 3 steals on 13 for 23 shooting and hit 4 threes. But Lamar Odom, after having an inefficient Game 1, then being the player of the game in Game 2, has another inefficient performance, shooting just 2 for 11 from the field, as Pau Gasol was held to just 7 for 18 shooting and was only able to grab 5 rebounds all game. For the Spurs, Manu Ginobili comes off the bench to lead the Spurs in scoring 30 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist on 9 for 15 shooting and hit 5 threes, while Tim Duncan had 22 points, 21 rebounds, absolutely dominating Pau Gasol on that front, 5 assists on 8 for 17 shooting. Now, Ginobili did score 8 more points on better efficiency, but Duncan was able to get way more rebounds, leading the team in rebounds and assists, as well as dominating the defensive front. So overall, I would still give Tim Duncan the player of the game. Game 4 in San Antonio, the Lakers pull out a narrow 2-point victory, 93-91, to take a 3-1 lead. Kobe Bryant was absolutely dominating the Lakers' offensive front here as he shot way more shots than anybody else as normal, scoring 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 1 assist on 14 for 29 shooting 19 more shots than anybody else on the team. As Pau Gasol also had a good game, having 10 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks on 4 for 7 shooting. But his scoring is not enough for me to give him the player of the game here, so I would still give the player of the game to Kobe. Tim Duncan had 29 points, 17 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks, doing amazing defensively, but he was held to just 10 for 26 shooting. Very unusual for him, as Manu Ginobili was also held to just 2 of 8 shooting off the bench. Game 5 in LA, the Lakers win by 8 points, 100-92, to win the series in 5 games and go back to the NBA Finals. Tim Duncan had a triple-double in the performance to stop the Lakers from winning the series, but it was not enough as he dropped 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists, but he was held to just 7 for 19 shooting, as Manu Ginobili was also held to just 3 for 9 shooting off the bench. Kobe Bryant played his absolute heart out to go to the finals, dropping 39 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals on 16 for 30 shooting, as Pau Gasol also had an amazing game, having 12 points, 19 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 blocks, though he was held to just 5 for 15 shooting. So although he did lead the team in rebounds, assists, and blocks, I would still give the player of the game to Kobe for the 3rd game in the series. Overall, Kobe Bryant wins the 2008 West Finals MVP, the 3rd of his career, as in the series he averaged 29 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals per game on a very efficient 53% shooting, as Tim Duncan also had an amazing series in the battle with Kobe, averaging 22 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks on 43% shooting. And ending out the decade, the 2009 West Finals was between the number 1 seed LA Lakers and the number 2 seed Denver Nuggets, with the Lakers winning in 6 games. Game 1 in LA, the Lakers win by just 2 points, 105-103, to take a 1-0 lead. Carmelo Anthony had an amazing game despite the loss, dropping 39 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists on an amazingly efficient 14 for 20 shooting and hit 4 threes, but somehow he was not the leading scorer of the game as Kobe Bryant went for 40 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists on 13 for 28 shooting. Though he was far less efficient than Carmelo, his team did win and he gets the player of the game. Game 2 in LA, this time the Nuggets are able to win by just 3 points, 106-103, to tie the series 1-1. Carmelo Anthony once again leads the Nuggets, dropping 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists on 12 for 29 shooting. While he did score far less efficiency than Game 1, he still shot better efficiency than everyone in the starting lineup other than Kenyon Martin, who only scored 16 points, and he led the team he was second on the team in assists. while leading the team in rebounds, so Carmelo Anthony gets the player of the game. As for the Lakers, Kobe Bryant had 32 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists on 10 for 20 shooting, and Pau Gasol had 17 points, 17 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks on 5 for 8 shooting. Game 3 in Denver, the Lakers win by 6 points, 103-97, to take a 2-1 lead. Kobe Bryant absolutely dominates the Nuggets, dropping 41 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals on 12 for 24 shooting, being by far the Lakers' best player as he is the player of the game. As Carmelo Anthony this game is held to just 4 for 13 shooting, Chauncey Billups was held to just 5 for 15 shooting, Kenyon Martin was held to just 3 for 10, and J.R. Smith was held to just 4 for 15. With these 4 players, probably the 4 best players on the Nuggets, being held to just 11 for 43 shooting combined, as they got absolutely shut down as the Lakers take a 2-1 lead and Kobe Bryant is the player of the game. Game 4 in Denver, the Nuggets win by 19 points, 120-101, to tie the series 2-2. Kobe Bryant had a high volume but less efficient scoring night. He scored 34 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, but was held to just 10 for 26 shooting. And Lamar Odom was held to just 1 for 8 shooting. But the Lakers were not doing bad defensively at all either, as Carmelo Anthony was held to just 3 for 16 shooting, but the Nuggets were still able to pull out the win, as J.R. Smith comes off the bench to drop 24 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals on 9 for 17 shooting and hit 4 threes in just 28 minutes, leading the team in points, while also having more assists than the second leading scorer, leading the team in steals, and having a good field goal percentage and hitting by far the most threes, as I'm giving J.R. Smith the player of the game here. Game 5 in LA, the Lakers win by 9 points, 103-94, to take a 3-2 lead. Carmelo Anthony is once again held to bad shooting efficiency, shooting just 9 for 23, as J.R. Smith, after having an amazing Game 4, is held to just 3 for 13 shooting. For the Lakers, Kobe Bryant had 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists on 6 for 13 shooting, as Pau Gasol had 14 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 5 blocks on 5 for 8 shooting. Now, while Kobe did score 8 more points and have 4 more assists, Gasol scored way more efficiently and had way better defensive numbers, absolutely dominating defensively here, obviously also having more rebounds. So overall, I think I'm going to give Pau Gasol the player of the game for Game 5. And in Game 6 in Denver, the Lakers blow out the Nuggets by 27 points, 119-92, to win the series in 6 games and go to their second straight NBA Finals and their 6th of the decade. Kobe Bryant and Pau Gasol were a dynamic duo this game, as Kobe had 35 points, 6 rebounds, and 10 assists on 12 for 20 shooting, and Gasol had 20 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals on 8 for 12 shooting. Now, while Gasol did score more efficiently and had more rebounds and better defensive numbers, he scored 15 less points and had 4 less assists than Kobe, and Kobe still scored very efficiently, so Kobe Bryant gets the player of the game, as Carmelo Anthony was held to once again another very inefficient scoring night, scoring just 6 for 17. Overall, Kobe Bryant wins the 2009 West Finals MVP, being player of the game for 3 out of the 4 Lakers wins, as in the series he averaged 34 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists on 48% shooting to get his 4th West Finals MVP, as Carmelo Anthony for the Nuggets averaged 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on 41% shooting. Overall, after this video that was way too deep of an analysis than I planned it to be, for it to just be one conference and one decade, here are the West Finals MVPs of the 2000s. 2000, Kobe Bryant. 01, Kobe Bryant. 2nd, 02, Shaquille O'Neal. 03, Tim Duncan. 04, Shaquille O'Neal. 2nd, 05, Tim Duncan. 2nd, 06, Dirk Nowitzki. 07, Tim Duncan. 3rd, 08, Kobe Bryant. 3rd, and 09, Kobe Bryant. 4th. Comment below if you agree or disagree with any of these picks, and also please comment below if you're interested in this series, because these videos take me a long time to do because this was super long. So yeah, comment below if you want me to continue this series, if you're interested or not, your thoughts and everything. And the next one I'll probably be doing is the 2000's Eastern Conference. So yeah, comment below. Make sure to subscribe and watch all the other videos on this channel. I have a bunch of original NBA content I upload every week. So yeah, and also go subscribe to my reaction channel where I have a lot of NBA and other kinds of content you might be interested in there. So yeah, bye.